It's 5:30. A very good evening to the wonderful Isabel Oakeshott. How are you?
Evening. Is it evening yet, or is it late afternoon?
Oh, she's on one, I can tell. Right, listen, I'm going to put this straight to you. Ben Habib, a quick reform because he says it wasn't democratised and is a private limited company run by Nigel Farage and one or two other people. He says that any political party that says should be democratised and that without Nigel and one or two other people it would be nothing. Said that they were turning into the Conservatives Mark II. Nigel Farage says he's bitter. Where do you stand on this?
Where I stand on this is that it's a total waste of time for any of us to be having any kind of internal squabbles over the structure of the Reform Party. I've got great respect for Ben. I think he's absolutely great. And, you know, he worked really, really hard for the Reform Party during the very long period when all anyone was doing was writing off reform, you know, labelling anyone who was campaigning for reform as some kind of fantasist who would never get anywhere, mocking us, mocking the party. I say us, I'm not a member of the Reform Party, but I do support what they're trying to achieve. And, you know, I recognise what Ben was doing, but I don't think now it's a very good use of his tremendous intellect and everything he's got to give to be focusing on the structure of the Reform Party. As he knows very well, Nigel Farage, the leader of the party, has taken some very significant steps to democratise the party. The whole thing about it being a limited company is a complete red herring. All political parties have a commercial arm, and they have to, because they all have to kind of function and make expenditure, get money in from membership and so on. So all political parties have that. What Ben is saying is members don't have enough say or that there aren't really members. Well, all that is being changed. And what I think is most interesting is I detect a real change in mood within what remains of the Tory party, that those immigration figures that came out last week, which were truly breathtakingly shocking.
20,000 during Starmer's tenure, right? 20,000.
May mark a watershed moment for the Conservative Party, and it may really be the end of them, because the voter will not forgive the scale of that betrayal. And there is a huge opportunity, therefore, for another political party, and it's probably not going to be Labour.
Can I just say, and then we'll move on, because I know it's difficult for you, but you and I are always very honest. And I like Ben. I'm great friends with you and Richard. Do you feel that there was, I'm not going to use frustration, I'm going to use, that having put in all the work that he did, as you said, that other people were elected and he found himself perhaps not where he perhaps wanted to be? Would that be a fair comment, do you think?
I really wish that Ben Habib had been elected, because I think he would have made a fantastic MP. And now I think that we should not concentrate on, you know, niggles about how the party is structured. Let's concentrate on, I'm going to sound like a politician here.
You are sounding like a politician, Oakeshott. What's going on?
I'm not a politician. I'm a journalist, and I like to call them out on when they start talking the boring stuff. But you know, look, honestly, who's really interested in how the Reform Party is structured? Who cares? What matters is that any of our opposition parties are able to challenge this utterly useless government.
Well, let's talk about that.
So ultimately bring them down.
I'm going to throw a few things at you. Not long, just quickly. So Whitehall, this is shocking to me. When I found this out today, I nearly fell off my bleeding chair. The Blob, the civil service, that bunch of, I still haven't recovered them taking the Tory government to court to say that they didn't agree with the policy of a democratic elected government and we, the taxpayer, had to pay for it. Anyway, in three major government departments, and this is a report by The Telegraph, and we're talking, when I say major, the Treasury, rather important, housing, rather important, Justice, rather important. Since Labour came to power in 13 government departments, the sort of absenteeism, I'm allowed to say, the working from home has increased dramatically amongst the civil service. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are. I've had people on saying, quite rightly, that for them it works and their employers are happy with it. I just can't help thinking that this is yet another sad example of a country going soft and people will take advantage, and I don't understand how that's going to perpetrate any growth for the rest of us. I don't, in any which way. Maybe I'm missing the point.
Well, of course, you said people say it works for them. The point isn't whether it works for them. The point is whether it works for the taxpayer, the people that are paying their wages. I don't care whether it suits them to work from home so they can walk their dog, 3 times a day, or choose what, type of milk they want out of their own fridge rather than having to go to the staff canteen or whatever. I really couldn't give a monkey's. What I care about is whether or not they're getting the job done in an efficient way, which is maximising the use of all the tax that we pay. And I don't think that the results of their endeavours really suggest that we are getting the maximum from the civil service. I mean, I heard today about people from the intelligence agencies working from home. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, but I would have thought that sharing intelligence, would be part of the job, really, that you have meetings together and it isn't all online, which probably opens up to more possible infiltration by Chinese spies and so on.
And the other thing is, this is the thing that really does my head in, and I know without even looking at you, I know you're going to agree with me. I've got to find a work balance. The anxiety of working in the office 5 days a week is too much. I need to think about my family. Yes, absolutely. I need to find a balance. So I'm going to work from home. Sitting in your house on your own, trying to galvanise your mind for 8 hours a day other than doing Zooms and having no interaction with people cannot in any way be helpful to your mental health, can it? Balance they need.
Well, I mean, I work from home quite a bit. Luckily I'm not paid.
Yeah, but you're mad, so you're all right, aren't you?
I'm not paid by the taxpayer. That's the difference. And if I don't do my job well, I'm not going to earn a penny. So, that's the difference, isn't it? Because people that are on the public purse are kind of guaranteed that they're going to carry on being paid, frankly, however mediocre they are. It's very, very difficult to sack bad civil servants. We know this. Multiple people have testified to how hard it is, and that has led to very low caliber of output. So I think it's much better to be able to come into the studio for a bit, come into the office, come into the workplace, whatever the setting may be, and then you can get some company and exchange ideas and,
It's true, you need that. And before we let you go, the other big story of the day, oh, God. Fewer criminals are being sent to prison and less will because there's a 12,000 cell shortfall and nobody, and this is all governments, and I agree with the gentleman Mark Fairhurst from the prison officers who said this is 30 years of governments not looking beyond the end of their own noses. I say we should double the sentences so that people know the severity of their crimes. Yes, there will be people in prison who shouldn't be in prison, but there are also criminals who are not being arrested. There are criminals being released with absolutely no afterthought in any which way for the victims. People are making suggestions this afternoon. What about army barracks? All we need to take 3 years to build a prison. Didn't take 3 bloody years to build a Nightingale hospital during the pandemic, did it, Isabel?
It's perfectly possible to get things done quickly if you put enough people and enough resources into it. And until we start taking the lower level of crime seriously, we can hardly be surprised when things escalate. And I heard what Ben Habib was saying about petty crime, what you were saying, stealing a car isn't that petty, is it? It's certainly not petty for the person that goes out to try and get their kids to school and finds that the car's gone. So I completely agree. There are plenty of buildings in this country that could be adapted. Where there would be a will, we could get this done fast. And I think the suggestion of actually getting prisoners to do some of the building of new prisons is not an entirely stupid one. I'm sure they would welcome a bit of physical labour. Is that daft?
Sorry, what are you saying? They'd welcome it. They'd welcome it. I'll tell you what I do. I get the civil servants on their days working at home. They can build the bloody prisons and the prisoners as well, or they won't get any dinner. Isabel, love having you on. Thank you so much indeed. Really appreciate it. Isabel Oakeshott, Talks, of course, international editor.